Today is Monday and it's the beginning of week 12 of my Ironman training program. Today I went out and swam 3,000 meters and then I ran 13 miles and it was a pretty good run. I'm not as tired as I used to be when I would do these long runs because I'm starting to get better at nutrition and remembering to eat while I run. It's been an eventful last couple of weeks. A couple weeks ago, 2 weeks, I did a 60-mile bike ride on the Trail of the Coeur in Idaho. And the night before we left for the ride, I actually went out and bought my very first bike repair kit and my first bike repair tube, which was just kind of a whim. I wasn't really gonna do it and it got kind of late and we almost didn't go, and it's a good thing we did because the next day I got my very first flat tire at about the 15-mile mark on my ride down to Harrison on the Trail of the Coeur and ended up having to replace a tire for the very first time. Turned out okay, took about a half an hour to replace the tire. I know I'm going to have to get better at it over time, but I felt pretty good this being the first time. I had these really useful CO2 cartridges when I replaced my tire. I'm going to hold one up. Here they are. These things run about $2 and I got them at REI and they're really easy to use. You just take the little yellow insert that goes with them and puncture the cartridge, and then you can screw this on and connect it to the valve on your tube and pump up your tire. And this one I have here inflated my front tire and then also reinflated my back tire, and I still had some left in it to use again another day. So they're pretty good and they're super cheap. I went to REI the other day and I bought a little bike pump for my bike just in case I don't have cartridges or I waste them. I heard from someone on the trail that sometimes when you try to use the CO2 cartridges, they just go off in your hand and then you don't have them anymore. So I got worried and I went out and bought a bike pump. I also got some new socks for running. And it turned out really well because it just so happened that I had a $60 dividend at REI. So I went there and I spent $68 and they actually gave me money back, and that was really cool. Other cool stuff happening right now is I'm starting to get a little bit faster on the bike. I've been worried about it because I bike at a really, really slow road bike speed, probably 13 miles an hour, which is kind of unheard of for road bikes. That's really slow. But this past weekend, I went out to do a 65-mile ride, and I ended up with a 15-mile-an-hour pace, and that's a lot better. The thing about this weekend's ride, though, is that it was a ride fail. I only ended up going about 60 miles an hour, maybe 59 overall, because it was 35 degrees, almost 40, and then with the wind chill, it was a little bit colder, and it snowed on me, and my feet got cold, and I crapped out. Basically, I quit, and I feel kind of bad about it, but then again, I really like having all my toes. Next week's ride is a 75-mile ride, and I definitely won't be quitting on that one. It should be a little bit warmer, which will make me a little bit less afraid to get a frostbite and lose limbs.